Are you confused and overwhelmed about your role in all the craziness that is being a dad? Are you struggling to create the life you hope for? Are you looking for other dads to share your struggles and your triumphs? Or do you just need help waking up in the morning? This is the Wake Up Dad Show.
Hey Dad, this is Dr. Scott.
And this is Dr. Evan. We're your co-hosts for the Wake Up Dad Show.
In this show, we explore what we call the 5 P's of dadhood. That's purpose, power, parenting, providing, and passion. And in today's show, we're going to talk about something that's very boring. Boredom. Boring. Dad, I'm bored. Dad,
sounds like an interesting topic.
I'm bored. It's God, it sounds like such a boring topic, doesn't it? Being bored?
So, did you pick this topic?
I did pick this topic, and so I'm gonna give props out to a website called Fatherly. So dads, check it out. I don't know if the website right off the top of my head. I'd say it's probably fatherly.com. And I get an email from them periodically, and this was an article written, and it was about the surprising benefits of letting your kids be bored. And, it struck me because, God, it drives me nuts. They just keep saying, Dad, I'm bored. What can I do? What can I do? My little one comes into my room, no doubt about it. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning, if not earlier, because we've taught her to look. We put a digital clock in her room, and we taught her to go, okay, you cannot leave your room until this clock hits, and then we pick a number, depending on the day, if it's a school day or a weekend or whatever, 6:00 or 6:30. You're not allowed to leave the room before that time. And inevitably, she comes in the room 10 minutes earlier than that time, and the first words out of her mouth are not, "Good morning, Dad," or "Hey, Dad," it's, "I'm bored, what can I do?" That's seriously the first words out of her face. So when this article came up, it really struck me. So we're going to talk about, some actual benefits of being bored. How about your kids, Ev?
There's only one out of the 3 that says that he's bored. So that's the son. And that usually means that he wants to do something on the computer. So, whenever I hear Felix say, "I'm bored," that means that he's lining me up for getting some sort of involvement on the computer, which I have no interest in him jumping on the computer. So I just tell him that's good. So it's good you're bored. Just sit with that. I say, that's good you're bored. Just sit with it for a little while and see what happens.
And what happens?
So
does he come back 2 or 3 minutes later saying, "Okay, I'm bored. Still bored"?
Well, kind of like the article says, it's it says that the kids will be annoyed for a short time, and they might even complain and stomp around a little bit. But then shortly after that, you'll find them doing something usually creative. They'll have thought of something, or they'll start playing with their siblings, something along those lines. So, it's that's when it ends up happening. But just a little side story. So he'll often say, "Dad, it's boring at home," and so like my wife, she's a lot of fun with the kids. So like whenever the kids are home, she's like always engaging with them and doing stuff with them, whereas I'm a little bit more hands off. So I will spend some time with them, but it'll be like short spurts, and then I leave them to their own devices. And so I think that kind of gives them the experience that Dad's around, things are a little bit more boring. And when I tell them, that's by design, guys, because that way school is going to be really exciting for you, and you're going to really like going there because there's lots of stimulus and different things to do. And that's kind of how I remember growing up, was home was boring. And I love school because that's where I got to learn and I got to interact with other people and, and play sports and all these different things. Versus our kids, there's times where they're having so much fun at home, or when it's summertime and they're having so much fun at home, they actually don't want to go to school. So there's another benefit of creating boredom in the home.
So yeah, I mean, like, I'm not one to be. I have trouble. What's the word I'm looking for? I have trouble just being bored. Just doing nothing. I'm a real do something kind of guy. Like if I don't find something to do, I get bored very, very quickly. And sort of this article intrigued me because it said, it talked about the idea of. When you're bored, you get an idea or time to figure out who you are and to not feel guilty about boring your kids. Because I feel guilty because my kid's an only kid. She's 6 years old, so she doesn't have a brother or sister to go play with. So like I feel that responsibility put onto me when she's bored. I'm like, am I being a bad parent because I'm not entertaining her 24/7, and this article helped me get off the hook. Sweet, doesn't that work? It's great. I was able to go, hey, I'm doing good for my kid without really knowing it. But now I've got something to say. It's like, great, yeah, this is awesome. I can let my kid be bored, and it's actually healthy for them. But
absolutely.
But I think it is really good for their imaginations. Especially in today's world of every micro millisecond is taken up with something, whether it be music or TV or gaming or iPad or homework or school or sport or every single second is taken up. So it's really becoming a real problem in today's world. Kids, the whole ADHD and ADD thing going through the roof with these kids. I think, part of it could be back to this is, like the constant stimulation. I'll qualify that by saying I am absolutely no expert in ADD or ADHD to know exactly what's going on, but there's obviously something happening that's different than it was when we were kids. Because, the kids, when we were growing up, had much greater attention spans and just seemed to do better than kids in today's world, generally speaking. And I'm sure we'll talk about that in numerous episodes as we go on about all the different types of stresses that kids have to handle in today's world, whether it be physical, chemical, emotional, social, spiritual stresses over a period of time and their detrimental effects in the whole world. But that can make a dramatic difference to these kids, and just letting them be bored and come up with ideas on their own, I think is just an absolutely awesome idea. And I think I need to do it more for myself as well. Absolutely.
I find that when I go on long trips, so if there's ever a time where I'm driving and there's, prolonged silence, my brain goes through this process of like processing, and there's like, it's kind of like, scrambled radio, like just lots of different things going through my head. And then as time goes on, all of a sudden things switch over from more of a processing mode to, just like ideas coming to me. And it's almost like and it talks about this in the article, is how the brain, when you give it a break, it will do work on its own, and it'll problem solve. It'll connect the dots for you. Answers will just come to you. And, I find that it's just a great reminder that, when we experience this actually when we learn too. So back in school, Scott, we would, study our brains out with, getting ready for exam. And, and it was, it was actually, I found that the more times that I reviewed the content and was able to sleep on it, the better I was with the content, because my brain was working on it all night. And then I would just check in and see, oh, my brain didn't quite process this, and so on. So that the point is that our brain does work when we give it a break, and it allows us to get smarter, because it does these simulations. So for kids, it's it's important to give them that break, so it lets their brain catch up from all the stimulus they've had at school or whatever. And so at home, I intentionally, I give them breaks, and I don't plan anything, and I just keep the house nice and as quiet as I can. And if they want to go to their rooms and just chill and rest and all that, it's all good. That's great. And I find that they're a lot happier when they have that time versus when they're going from program to program where things are really tightly booked. I find that that's when they're fatigued, and they're more emotional, and they're harder to handle, really. So I think from the parenting P of our 5 Ps, giving people the opportunity, ourselves, our kids, the opportunity to have downtime is super important.
Oh, there's no doubt. Like we call it quiet time in our house, and she stopped having naps. I don't know how long ago now, a bit of a blur, but when she stopped having naps, we had to change the name from nap time to quiet time. And that's just a time that we let her go up into a room. We say, listen, you're not allowed to do too much. You need to, just have a lie down for 20 minutes or, whatever the length of time, whether it be somewhere between 15 to 30 minutes. For that exact reason, just let the mind calm down a bit. I guess, a different way of putting it, what we're talking about here, now that I think about it more, is more like a meditation or an active meditation or something along those lines to just quiet that mind down. And I totally get what you're saying when you said, say you go for a long drive and initially you get all this stuff, this clutter, this clatter, this verbal diarrhea going through your head, but eventually that sort of, eases off that little bit, and you get a little bit more clarity, and then that's where these amazing thoughts come from. And I'll tell you, I'll be the first one to sort of roll my eyes and take a deep breath when I hear the word meditation. Because I'll tell you, every single time I've tried to meditate, literally every single time, I can't do it anymore when lying down. I just can't do it, because if I do, I fall asleep. Like, give me 5 minutes, I'm asleep.
Yeah, same here.
So I think I need to, if I'm going to try it again at some point, is to do it sitting up. But I'm afraid I'm going to hit my head when I fall over asleep by trying it if I sit up. So, but yeah, quiet time is just maybe a better way to put it, or boredom time is a great way for us as both adults and kids to stimulate our brains to respond in a different way and become healthier and more vital. And it really does sort of reset the clock. And typically when she does come out of quiet time, she's a lot more centered and balanced and just easier to get along with. So, I never really thought about it like that. It's more like boredom time, but I don't want to call it that, because then she might get a bit more problematic with it. She feels like she's bored for more than she wants to be anyway. So how do you handle that, Ev, with numerous kids? Do you have other specific times that they go off by themselves, or is it more just haphazard because there's more kids around?
Yeah, I think that Felix is really strategically setting me up for the computer. I don't think he's actually bored. I think he's trying to tell me that, Dad, this is my last option. This is all I've got is the computer, because it ends up getting there. Because if I ask him, well, what do you want to do? He'll go, And so he's got these 2 math programs he does on the computer, and he really, really likes them. But we find that his mood changes every time he goes on the computer. So it doesn't matter whether he's doing math or, some learning game. we find it every time he's different, and it's not a good different. So we're actually trying to limit even the learning games now and have them do it in workbooks. So to answer your question, he's kind of, he's setting me up for, what he really wants to do, which is, he's very attracted to the computer. And because of the way he's responding on the computer and the way his moods change, it's kind of like he wasn't doing well with bread and anything with like gluten in it. And we figured that out. It was like an addiction. And so we had to like remove it from him, and it wasn't pretty, but it was huge because once we reintroduced it, he had a different relationship with it, and he was able to be a lot more empowered around it. And it was, we were able to give it, him something, and it wouldn't change his mood. Whereas, with the computer, it became an addiction. And so anyways, we're in the process of breaking that. With the other kids, my two daughters, they never talk about being bored. So I think maybe having siblings and so on that interact with each other makes it a lot easier for us, and we're not dealing with the boredom thing very often. And I'm pretty sure I got Felix figured out. But I did like the idea, like rather than saying boredom, just like actually creating things as a family or doing things as a family that give us that quiet time. So they had a few examples in the article, and one of them was just laying down on your back in the grass, or you could do it in the snow, since we're in Canada, or you could do it on the beach, being in Australia or somewhere else.
Let's have a poll. Let's have a poll. Would you rather do it in the snow or on the beach? I'm just wondering, guys, message us or something. Get us on Facebook and let us know. Which would you rather? Just out of curiosity. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and I know snow is going to be the highest ranking.
Of course. Yes. Yep. You keep thinking that.
Yeah. So, and just really looking up at the sky and looking at the clouds, and that was just watching the clouds go by, and that was one of the examples they used in the article. The other one was making up what you call shadow play. So that was using a flashlight and and doing different things with your hand. To me, that's a little bit more. There's a little more stimulation there. I don't know if that's exactly like there's definitely some brain firing there to figure out where to put your fingers, and seems more of a game to me, but I'll stop picking it apart. And then we've got and then there's this, the third one was plan a real or imagined feast. So this was like the example of like, again, to me that's more of a game, or like show, like pretend that you're creating the meal and that sort of thing. But the idea of just sitting still, like, I think that's one of just lying down on your back. And I'll ask my kids, hey, do you want to just snuggle, or do you want to lie on the couch with me? And literally just being quiet. My mom is a master of quiet. Like when we go to visit my mom, and stepfather, they are so quiet. Like they could sit there and just read a book the whole time that we're there. Like that would be totally fine with them. and we just, and it just helps us rejuvenate, and it's just so relaxing to be in that environment where it's not go, 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 go. And we really like get to decompress and enjoy that space where, it's just quiet and there's not a lot going on. Like my mom will plan, if she's going to plan something, it's just one thing that day. Versus Cheyenne's mom, for example, she loves the busyness and like the go, 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 go. And there's like, I don't like, if she actually was to sit down and just be still and quiet, I'd be shocked. So, and it's a good lesson for me because I appreciate both. And I think as dads, we can experiment with it and actually try. Because if we live in a home that's very highly stimulated, like let's say we're married to a person who's like a go person, and I would say my wife is more of a go person than I am. And I think that's maybe we balance each other out. But like if it's a go household, actually, with intention saying, hey, let's just like not plan anything, like, or, I think we've got too much planned. Let's give the kids a break. Let's let them just have some downtime. Because I think overall everybody's happier and healthier as a result. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I totally agree. And, I love that snuggle on the couch idea. I'll usually get a good 12 to 15 seconds of cuddling before there's squiggles and an elbow in the guts or a finger in the eye or something. But that 15 seconds, I tell you, that makes all. I couldn't even imagine if I got a whole minute or 3. That would be like that. That would be absolutely awesome. But yeah, I totally agree. I'm the half in the family, in the adult part of the family that's the go person. Like I said, I sort of struggle with not doing anything. So I think I could take a bit of a lesson from this article myself and try and teach my kid try and teach my kid a little bit of that at the same time, because I think it is important in today's world of absolute ridiculousness as far as crazy concern is, when it comes to just every single millisecond being filled by something, like listening to crazy podcasts about dadhood, that kind of craziness that people do. It's just, it's constant. So if you're doing that every other podcast except for this one, you should turn off right now and be bored for a few minutes. But we'll probably finish up the podcast in about 5 minutes. So, just give it 5 minutes and then give yourself some boredom time. So what do you think could be some cool little strategies that we can give for dads, both as the potential go dad or the dad in the go household? Go-Go's. I like that. Go-Go's. Isn't that a band? The Go-Go's? Was that a band?
Probably. If we Googled it, I'm sure there is a band called Go.
Yeah. Or was that a movement or a dance? Anyways, I can't remember. Sidebar. But yeah, whether it be a go dad or go household or go kid, what do you think we can throw out there for a few strategies for dads out there to help them out in these different situations?
I would say first thing is to limit the amount of after school programs. So we've gone both ways with it. So we've had semesters, so to speak, where we've got like 3 or 4 days of the week where we have something scheduled after school, and I find that that's just too much. So we cut back, and now it's 1 or 2 afternoon programs, and it's been better for everybody. Everybody's just a lot more relaxed, and it's more enjoyable. So I'd say number 1 is, not having so much scheduled activity after school. I mean, they've just done like a whole day of getting content and play and stimulation and kids, and and they're doing technology in schools now and all this stuff. And then they come home, and then we're giving them a program to do as well. And there's, and then it's dinner, and then, homework, and then bed, poor things, right? Like, it's just like constant. They never get to stop. And, I value, even if I can just sit down and do nothing for like 20 minutes or a half an hour, that to me is super, super important time. Like just to chill. So I think that's another thing we can do as dads is take time to to relax, and make sure that your spouse or your significant other, if you're living with somebody, make sure you give them that same grace, because I think that it can happen in couples, and I'm speaking from experience, where if you're in a go household, and the person who's not the go sits down.
So wait a minute, are you trying to one up me here? I'm talking about the go, and you're talking about the go. Are you trying to one up me? What's happening here? Did you just up the ante? Is your house a go house and mine's a go house?
I'm pretty sure that wasn't the intention, but
anyway,
we can get competitive. We are male, so yeah, giving your the other person in the household, if you're sharing a household, permission to take some time. And what I was going to say there was that, from speaking from experience, being in a go household, is that I always felt like I shouldn't sit down, because that's like decreased productivity. There's stuff to get done, but then I started to just verbalize. It's like, you know what, I just really just need to just like chill. I just need to take a break. I've been going all day. I'm just going to take like 15-20 minutes, and then I'm back in the game type thing. And so I started doing that, and I noticed that my wife started to take time where she would sit down and actually take a break. And that would, after I got off the floor, after I had fallen over from shock, I was like, I'd come over to her and I was like literally giving her positive feedback, because that, I think that's important for her as well. And so I think it's good for the kids to see that, I'm just constantly going on all the time. And, just being I don't know what it's like in Australia, because it's like really far away. And I don't know if you guys are, at all like we are here in Toronto, but it is just like full on. You wake up in the morning and you're going full on. Like, if you were to just like pull all the people, in our neighborhood anyways, and just say like, is there any time where you just like, do you find that you relax a lot, and just like the people like laugh at you? Because no, they don't. Like, people just don't do a lot of relaxation here. It's just like bang, 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 productivity, learn this, do this, like schedule, like they don't take time. And so, yeah, I think we really have to be intentional about it. So I would say, just to recap, don't schedule so many things every night after school for the kids. So that way, they can just come home and you just let them be, or let the single child be. And then the other one is to give yourself breaks as well. Give yourself that grace, and allow your spouse or significant other to do that if you're sharing a household. So those are my ideas. What do you think, Scott?
I made up a little list here myself. So like, definitely another big one I think with limiting is screen time, for so many reasons. But for one is that if your eyes are looking at a screen, they're not relaxed. Your brain is not relaxed. It's constantly in action, even though sometimes it feels like, some people say, oh, I just need to chill out, so I go in front of a television. Yes and no with that one, because you still have to limit that screen time for all of the other effects of screens on your mind. And then on the opposite side of that is if you read a book. I think reading has gone so far down. Like, the most people ever read now is like somebody's little blurb on Facebook. But if you've got to click continue reading on the Facebook blurb that's more than 6 lines long, you don't even bother with that. You know what I mean? So it's I think increasing reading, like of something that you fully enjoy. Like I'll tell you, I'm one of the big fans of reading non-fiction books and self-help development, all kinds of books like that. But in the last number of years, I've switched gears a little bit, and I read some books that are just pure enjoyment. And I'll tell you, man, it is awesome. And we read every single night with my kid, right? Like every single night, we're reading 1 or 2 or 3 of her books, or she's just started to get into chapter books, so we'll read 1 or 2 or 3 chapters. And I just really, really have implanted that in her. We've done that literally since the day she's been born. I bet you there's only been a handful of days that we haven't been reading together. So I really wanted to implant that in her head, that that's a really awesome, important thing to do in life. Increasing imaginary play, like we talked about earlier. Like for us, we've got this little game. I'll try and get the name of it and put it in the show notes or something. It's story cubes. And so they're little dice, and each of the 6 sides of the dice has a picture on it. And then there's 6 or 8 dice. And you take them all up in your hands and you drop them on the table or whatever. And then you tell a story based on the pictures on the dice. And I think that's just a really cool way to chill out, but also create that imaginary play inside people's minds. Another really cool one is just board games and card games, getting back to that family unit. And another one that sort of goes contradictory, I think, in today's world is to increase physical activity. If you think about kids, their stimulation, so much of the stimulation is at school and at home, but it's all based on sitting down. It's all based on screens and books and writing and, all these very, very physically inactive things. So I think if we can get a period of time where we get some, because for me, I'll go back to, again, my own personal experience. When I go out, I've got a gym out in my garage. And when I go and do that, that is a real important time for me to just chill out. I don't know if I'd call it boredom, being on that sort of topic that we're talking about with boredom, but just something that quiets the mind. And that's my meditation. That really, really helps me. I wish I had a way to measure that directly to understand, the positive mental effects that it has on me. But increasing that physical activity, I think, is another good way to do it. I think sometimes we need to slow down to speed up.
Absolutely. Love it.
Cool. All right,
Great
guys.
tips.
Yeah. So I think we'll sign off for another episode this week. Any closing remarks, Ev?
No, just remember, if you live in a go-go household, to slow down.
Yep.
And enjoy some boredom.
Perfect. All right, guys. Signing off.
Boredom.
Hashtag boredom. Let's see what comes up. All right, guys. See you next time. Dr. Scott signing off.
Dr. Ev signing off. Have a great week, everybody.
Do you want to know more about the Wake Up Dad movement? Go to www.thewakeupdadshow.com to download any and all past issues of the show. Claim your free gift. Continue the conversation on the Facebook group Wake Up Dad. Share this podcast with other dads on iTunes or Google Play. Make sure to subscribe to the show and give us a rating so we can reach more dads. And dads, one last thing. Wake up!